Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Wilson, and I am an instructor in the Applied Education Department at Spokane Community College, as well as an instructor in the Academic Success Department at Salish Kootenai College. And I'm sharing this basic video to cover the essentials you need in working with Microsoft Word, which is going to be important for any college classroom. So to start out, you will want to open up Word through your desktop if possible. There is Word available online, and many colleges will offer an option to download and use Word online, but oftentimes they'll give you, as part of your student fees, some type of ability to download it, at least while you're a student, give you a year or something to down for free, as part of your student fees or whatever. But what we want to do here first, I've already got a little bit of a setup going in this screen share. Notice that if you need to zoom in or zoom out on something, that is going to be in the bottom right-hand corner pretty easily. You can look at what this would look like if it was on a printed page. You can zoom in a little closer if you need to. Also, and I like to teach going from left to right, but if you go to over here in your top toolbar to your view settings, you can set the ruler. So the ruler is right here, view, and then ruler. If you need to have an exact idea of how much space, so this is like an inch up here, I'll zoom in a little closer. 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. How big is everything on the page and where is everything on the page? And so that comes into play whenever you're looking at margins. Although the preset margins are usually pretty good for what you need for college. Okay, top left-hand corner, I like to move from left to right. Most of the absolutely important essentials you need from Word, you're going to find on the left-hand side moving across. So File, Home, Insert are your most important and most commonly used options, and mainly Home. A lot of what you need to do, you can do from the home screen, and then when it's time to save, you go to File. So really, it's these first two that you're going to be using for basic essentials, especially if it's like essay writing or something like that. When we start getting into Insert, that's when you're looking at inserting, could be just a text box and you want to block it off, or a page break or things like that. It's a little insert's going to be a little more technical, and you do use those skills, but File and Home are the most important. So, okay, left to right. File, if I wanted to save this, I think that's very important. Notice I've got autosave set to on. You can do it on or off. There's a little icon here that automatically will save for you. There's an undo button if you've done some stuff and you want to undo what you did. That's right there. This would take you back forward again. If you do something, undo it. Oh, wait a minute, I want to keep that. You redo it, etc. And then there's anytime you see these little carrots and things like that, it means there's other options to click on. But I don't recommend students using this picture for your save function because you're not going to know automatically where the save is at. You need to, so most of what you need is under File. To go File, Save As, and this gives you the ability to determine where you want to save it. So saving as, like in this case, I'm logged in through my Community Colleges of Spokane email account. I can save it to the cloud that is owned by Community Colleges of Spokane, or I can save it to this PC, which is my preference in some cases. Many cases, I don't want to lose stuff that's on the cloud if I leave the institution or go to a different institution. But the cloud is still an awesome option for a lot of things that you do or that you need. You save to the cloud. You can open that document from anywhere as long as you are logged in through that email or that institution's account. So that's what that means. This PC would be to this actual desktop computer or laptop computer. And so that's oftentimes my choice, or to save to both. Like I might save to the OneDrive first and put a file name in this blank here and then save it to this PC. And if you save it to this PC, you've got choices. Oftentimes it'll route automatically to documents, but you could save it in other folders if desired. So that's your options. I'm not going to save this one. But going back to, so File, Save As. Also, File has an option to create a new document. You can go with blank document, or I encourage students to explore templates. They have a ton of templates for all kinds of things. Like you can make your own personalized calendar if you want to. If you want to make like birthday party invitations, if you are starting your own business and you want to create invoices, flyers, things like that, I tell students especially like resumes and cover letters. The layouts that they have available for resumes and cover letters are pretty awesome in Microsoft Word, and many of them are free. Some of them cost a little bit to download and edit, but you can download one, edit it yourself. And when I say edit, like the layout, the line spacing, the organization of it, making sure everything is in alignment and looks really cool and awesome is already there, and you're just filling in the text. And that's kind of the cool part of using those templates. Okay. Back to just a basic document in Word. I'm gonna zoom out of this one a tiny bit. That's the main and most important thing that you need to remember when using file on the top left corner is like, this is where you go to save things, to open a new document if you want to, but also to save your work and decide where you're going to save it. If you just hit this little save button right here, many times I will run into issues where students hit save, but they don't know where it's saved at. And now they're having a hard time finding that document and retrieving it. Okay, home screen, your most important tab. And I tell students, if you are not very computer literate, look for home in any situation. If there's a home screen on like a college website, if there's a home screen on a business website, if there's a home screen in Word, if there's a home screen in Excel, if there's a home screen in PowerPoint, look at your home screen, right? For your basic options of how to do anything. And almost always home is going to be in an obvious place, typically towards the top and left. Usually most layout designs for things. Okay. So from the home screen, most important tools you need, we'll look at copy and paste a little bit later, but your font style settings right here. So we've got this set to Times New Roman font and 12-point font, which is what any college professor is going to want. Note that Microsoft has automatic default templates, which is Calibri. And that's not, and I think 11 too. Like if you open a blank document, you're going to see Calibri in 11. And that's not what many of your professors might want. Some professors are okay with Calibri. Some professors are okay with Arial. But MLA style format, APA style format typically call for Times New Roman and 12-point font size. So be able to set that. To set that, if it's not on Times New Roman, you would hit your little arrow, your caret next to it. See how Calibri is one of your choices here. And then it gives you a massive list, a scrollable list here of choices of different types of fonts that you might want. If you want the whole thing to be changed, set it using the whole thing. You can also type. So Times New Roman would be way down here in the T's if I was trying to scroll the massive list. So you could start typing times into the blank to achieve this. If I wanted to change all of this, if I wanted to change this to something, I think a really cool font is Georgia font, and that's not something students have ever checked out many times before, but Georgia, so it just popped right up, G-O-R Georgia, and see how it pulled it up close to the top here. Click on it. It's a slight difference, but I think it looks cooler. So for like flyers or things that I make, I like this particular font. If you want to change the font size, do not do this for a college essay. Keep it at Times New Roman 12-point, but you go over here. So I just clicked into this little box category. It's set to 12. If I wanted to set it to 28, there it goes. Okay. You can choose your size and click on it. You can also type something in the blank. What if I wanted 28.5? I could type that in the blank. Okay. You do need to have text highlighted before you do so. So when you start the document, you could go ahead and set that font before you start typing. But if you do start typing, you're going to need to highlight now. So I just set this to 28.5 just by typing that in the blank, and it changed it slightly. Okay. Stuff that you might also need. Going to zoom back out a little bit here. Made it look kind of funny making it that giant. Layout, I'll do that really quickly. I don't want to jump too far ahead from the home screen, but layout would let you do your orientation. So orientation right here, I could go to landscape. That's like if it's going to be a long width on the paper and it prints this way versus portrait is what you need most often. Back to home screen. I'll show you guys that one more time in a minute. I'm going to set this back to something that's a little more normal. It's kind of giant on the page. I'm going to set it to like 14, let's say. I just typed in 14. Bold and underline, highlighting. Those are skills that are good to know how to do. Note that for a college essay, you don't need to bold the title. I think a lot of students think that you need to bold the title, but if I wanted to bold something, say I wanted to bold the name of this course, which you don't want to do in an actual college essay, you want to leave everything in regular font. I just hit this B. I highlighted the line I wanted, and I hit this B right here. If I wanted to set something to italics, which is going to slant the letters a little bit, it's this little I highlighted Jane Doe right here, hit slant, or it's italics right there. Let's say I want to underline Professor Wilson, which you don't. In real life, keep it all standard font. The U with the line underneath it is underlined. You highlight what you want underlined. Strike through this other option. They have other options here too. See these carrots? You have like different kinds of underlines you can play with. Don't worry about that. I don't think you need that too much, but it's kind of cool to know. Strike through would be if you are going to start editing things. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but it is kind of cool. I might as well cover it. If I wanted to strike through my date here, boom, it puts a line through it. So let's say if you're editing something, it's kind of a cool feature. I'm going to hit my undo button and undo that. That's not really a super common task that you'll need unless you are in the business of editing documents. This little A right here gives you some text effects if you want to do some cool effects, and look at how many choices you have. I would encourage any student who's new to Word or to using computers in general to just click on each one of these and play with it a little bit. So for example, if I want to do something fancy to my title, not what you would do in a college essay, but might be cool for like an advertisement or something, you could go to outlines, you could go to shadows, and it would throw a shadow on there, and you decide where you want that shadow to be. Reflections, so it could reflect itself. That's kind of cool. I'm going to play with a reflection for this. You could also make it glow, which is kind of cool. Like, what kind of glow do you want? There's a glow. That's maybe a little bit too loud. It looks a little bit distracting and disturbing here. You can't even read it because it's kind of funny looking. So I'm going to undo that. But there's all kinds of cool features you can play with from your text effects option here, okay, which is the A with like the funny outline on it. Next is your highlighter. It's automatically set to yellow. So I had this line, the scholarship essay rough draft line, I had it highlighted already. When I hit the button for highlight, it set it to yellow. Let's say I want to highlight, but I don't want to highlight in yellow. I want a different color. Instead of pushing the button here, look at the little caret, the arrow at the right, and oh, there's some options. Click on that. Let's set it to just gray or green or pink, or turquoise is a popular one. There you go. You pick your color. I wanted to highlight it, but I wanted it something different than yellow. Let's say you wanted to change the color of your text. That's what this is. This A, the font color is set automatically to black. But if you hit the little caret, the little arrow next to it, you can look at some different theme colors. And they're all labeled. So like if you hover over it for just a minute, this one says blue. Accent 1, lighter, 40%. Next choice, blue. Accent 1, darker, 25%. So it has labels for each of those shades, which enables you to kind of trace them a little bit. I'm just going to do this to like an orange. I'm just picking one, for example. Just set that line to a different color. And then if you wanted to do something that was even more specific, I'm going to highlight the same line. I like this dark orange, but it's not quite what I want. Down here, you have more colors. You also have gradient options where you could like do some variations on it. Like I want it to be super dark or something. And then right here, I'm going to go back up there. So this line is still highlighted. Hit the caret again. More colors. Like it gives you a spectrum to play with. Some will give you like more of a rounded looking hexagon type of thing, but this one gives you, it's like, okay, this is what I want. Move it there and make it happen. Okay. Kind of cool to play with. Other things that are important as I'm moving across this this space, remember, even once you're in the home screen, going left to right is going to give you your most commonly needed options. This is text alignment. Everything right now is lined up on the left-hand side. I had to manually move this line right here to the center. So I'm going to show you, if I highlight this line and I want it back on the left, see how that's in the center picture? Line it up on the left, you do that. If I want to line it up on the right, it's this picture. If I want to stretch it across the middle, you're not going to see too much of a difference here. It kind of like justifies it between both margins, but center is where you want it for the sake of an actual essay, but you can play with those margin alignments. Like, do you want to line everything up on the left? Do you want to line everything up in the center? Or do you want to stretch the text so that it's equally aligned between both sides? Or do you want to line it up on the right-hand side, etc.? So that's what that's about. Your fill paint would be if you wanted to do like a fill behind something, like behind your selected text. It's a little bit different than highlighting. So check this out. See how that's different than a highlight? It kind of did just a massive line right there. I don't know of too many situations where you need that. It's more for effect. So I'm just going to go no color right there, or you could have done the undo button. But that's an option. If you want to set a border, so if I wanted to set a border, bottom border, top border, etc., just go around like if I want to create a right side border, I could do that, and you could do that around different text or something that whatever you prefer. We're not going to go into drawing tables or anything like that right now, but those are basic functions. The other basic function, there's styles that you can set for your fonts. So like if I highlight this line and I want to play with different styles, you got choices here, but you can also open up other styles. So try like, here's what it's going to do to this font. It's giving you an instruction there. Whoa, look at how that changed it. If I want to do something extra, intense emphasis, or list paragraph, you see how there's things you can do. I don't think students need this too much, and I don't consider this to be a basic task. I'm just going to hit undo right here, undo for all of it, go back to where we were at. I don't think that working with styles is really like what I would consider one of your basic skills. That's a little bit more intense, and not something to worry too much about if you are a beginner. Find and replace is important. So when you go to find, it's going to help you find what are we looking for. If I'm looking for the word January, it found the word January. Okay. What do I want to do with January? Well, do I want to replace it with something? So I'm asking it to find January. So I just hit this replace button up here, January. I want to replace it with February because it is February now. Replace. It's going to ask me, do you want to replace it all? Like if there's more than one January in this whole document, do you want to replace every single one of them? Or do you just want to replace the first one? In this case, there's only one, but I can hit replace all, and now it changed it to February. And so that is helpful if you write an essay and you know that you use the word like a lot, and you know that your English professors don't like the word like, and you want to identify, and let's say you write a 5-page paper, how many times did I use the word like? It will find all of them for you, and then you can manually decide if you want to replace that word like with something else to give your sentences more variety. So I do find that to be a helpful tool, especially if you recognize some of your own writing tendencies and words that you use maybe way too frequently and you want to change some of those. Very nice tool to help you do that. Okay. Editor, I consider to be more of an advanced tool. It will do, like, the AI editor will come up over here if it notices any problems, and you'll get squiggly lines anyway if there's any really bad problems in your writing. But having that just to glance at before you submit something is pretty nice, and it's a feature that has not always existed. Notice that editing and comments and this type of stuff in the top right hand corner is a little different. I consider this to be an advanced level skill, but if you wanted to add edits to your own document or share it with someone else and give that person the permission to make comments on it for you or to edit it for you, that is a really cool feature that I could cover in a different video. Final thoughts on basics that you need. I'm going to go now to the insert tab, and I don't really feel like inserting is too important with college essays, except for a couple of key features. So being able to set a page break if you need to is more of an advanced level skill. You don't need that too often. APA essays might require you to be setting up a cover page, page break, etc. Header and footer, though, that's part of any college essay. So college essays in general are going to want you to have your last name in the header. Okay. And the other way you can access it too is just to click way up here and it will let you do that. So see how I just clicked in this space? I had a header option in from my insert screen, excuse me, but I also just clicked in the space to access it. Start out by setting a page number, and you want to set it to the top of the page, and then when you hover over it, it will give you the options. Put it on the top right hand corner. That's pretty standard for college essays. And what you want to do is put your last name. And so if I am the student's name is Jane Doe here, I would put Doe 1. Make sure you still highlight that and go back to your home screen and set it to Times New Roman if it's a college essay, because you want even the header and footer, if you put a footer, to be in Times New Roman as well. So that's my header. And see how I just clicked inside of it, and then you can click back out to get to the main body of the essay. But what this will do, since I set the page number, is if I was to have a 5-page essay, it would number those pages for me, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it would keep dough on every single page as well, which is kind of cool. So back to, again, you can access that through insert, or you can just click up there. But in header and footer, you don't need a footer as much, but sometimes like if you did need to put like a page number or something, or add something to the bottom of every page, you could, and that's there. Page numbers, I've already demonstrated, like adding a page number and being able to do that is a good skill for college essays. Text boxes, you don't need too much, but like, let's say if you're writing an APA style essay and you needed to insert like figure 1, this is an image of something from the Smithsonian or whatever. This is a kind of a cool feature to know how to do. So I'm just I recommend they have layouts for you, but just drawing a text box and placing it where you want it. I already had the cursor placed here at Jane Doe. That's not really where I wanted it. So I'm going to undo that and make sure that I'm all set. It should give me the option to draw it wherever I want, but I'm going to set my cursor here. I'm going to go up here to draw text box, and I'm going to put draw text box, and it should allow me. So here's what I wanted. I don't know why it did that before, but the little plus sign that you see, my cursor, my blinking cursor is right here, but I can move this plus sign to any space I want. Say I want it down here and draw that box. I can make it a rectangle if I want, or whatever. And once I've drawn it, notice my options just changed up top. I've got a shape format option now. I can fill this shape. I can do an outline. I can do different effects on the shape. That's content for another video. It's kind of cool if you did want to like shape fill and you want to put a color in there or something like that. You don't really need that for a college paper. Shape outline. Do you want this to be a bolder outline? Do you want it weighted? You know, how thick do you want the line to be? Or do you want no outline, which is, I think, very useful as well. No outline, but at any rate, I'm not going to do anything to it. There could be a glow on your shape, you know. Anyway, these are all like more advanced level skills, but just being able to get a text box going. And maybe you want to say like, you know, this is a photo, and you can move the text down and then insert a photo into it or something. This is a photo of, you know, an archived woolly mammoth tusk or something like that. And there you go. So those are more advanced level skills, but it is cool to know how to insert a text box if you needed it. And then you can position that text box. See how I'm in the shape format? It opened its own menu options up at the top here, toolbar. Positioning, I could like move the text box around like so. You could also just grab it and move it. It moved it, I think, down to the bottom right. So just deciding, well, where do I want this image or this box to be placed on my page? It moved it right here. There's a lot you can do with that. This pretty much sums up, maybe one more thing I'll do on layout if needed. I'm still in the text box mode right now. I'm just going to exit text box mode. With layouts, you want to think about your margins and your orientation. So we already covered orientation. Portrait is the most common one that you need in college. Landscape would be if I wanted to make the paper like more of a width, like let's say for a flyer, but mostly you're going to stay in portrait. Margins. Normal margins, you have a 1-inch margin, 1 inch on every side, okay? If you need something to be more narrow, you could set that. See how it thinned these margins out a little bit? 1/2 inch on every side. If you wanted to customize it, which is what I like to do, customizing your margins allows you to decide, I still want to have 1 inch at the top, let's say, and so I'm just using my arrows. At the very top of the page, I want 1 inch. On the left-hand side, I still want 1 inch. On the bottom, though, I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to add one or two more lines of text if I need it. And on the right, yeah, same thing. If I need my text to kind of stretch out and go a little bit long on the right-hand side, that's fine with me. Or if I wanted to customize that, I want to give myself like maybe not 1/2 inch, but a little bit more than 1/2 inch on the right, just to be on the safe side so that it prints okay. Let me give myself like 7/10 of an inch, right? Like on each of those sides. See, I just customized that. And I'm making this up. Standard for college is 1 inch on each side. So your custom size, not customized, but your normal margin, that's the default, is correct. But this is just a tool that you could use if ever you need it. I'm hoping that this has been helpful as far as showcasing the basic skills you need in Word. And I will do a couple more videos to showcase other advanced features for students who need it. Have a great day.